Bogle. Thank you very much. It's really good to be a beautiful, beautiful setting. As one of the audience told me at the break, we can look at that sunset, but you've got to look at us. And we got the best part of the deal, I'll tell you. We'll start off with a little finger loosener, wee fiddle medley called By the Fiddler a Dram. This next song is a song that was actually recorded by Mary Black, who's one of my favourite Irish female singers. Beautiful, beautiful singer. And if you're really lucky when you're a songwriter, you know, great people like Mary record your songs and take it to another level. I first saw Mary about 7 years ago in a concert in Denmark, and it was the first time I'd ever seen her live. And I was sort of hanging at the side of the stage, looking up adoringly into her face as she was singing Just For Me. And she sang this song, and I thought to myself, that's a really nice song. And then about a verse and a half into it, I thought, I wrote that bloody song. She sang it so beautifully and so differently from me, I'm pleased to say, that I honestly didn't recognise it. That's what I mean by great singers taking their songs to another level, you know. So, Mary couldn't be here tonight, but I'm here. Just imagine me as a svelte brunette. I wish I could imagine myself as a svelte brunette. I'd have fun in the motel room for a start. We've been on the road a while. This is a song called Leaving a Land, and it's all about old people, in this case in Australia, but it could be anywhere, being forced off the farm after generations on the same farm to go and try and live and work in town, called Leaving a Land. Time to go, Jenny, no need to close the door. What if the dust gets in the house? Doesn't matter anymore. You and the dust have been at war for far too many years. Now the war is over, Jenny dear. Remember when I brought you here, those long bright years ago. For all that time you've been my heart, but this land has been my soul. The long bright days are over now, though still the heart beats on. But Jenny dear, the soul has gone. Time to go, Jenny. Drive quickly down the track. We'll never see what lies ahead if we keep on looking back. Behind us just an empty house, old memories and ghosts, and our small dreams gathering dust.
Thank you. We'll continue loosely on the Irish theme for a couple of songs, and I love Irish music. I've got a huge collection of Irish traditional music in my home in Adelaide in South Australia, and I just love it. It's got passion and fire, everything a music should have. But the Irish, as we know, are a quixotic race of people. That's why we love them. And as well as producing the best music in the world, they produce something a bit like this. Hop-de diddly 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 da. 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 He's just a plastic Paddy singing plastic Paddy songs. in a plastic paddy pub that they call the Barley Stone. Now there's plastic shamrocks everywhere, there's Guinness and green beer, and a sign in Gaelic above the bar which says God bless all here. His guitar sounds like a wardrobe, and it's out of tune at that. His singing voice, it ranges from a sharp to a flat. He's just desecrated the holy ground of a bareback velvet band. Some 7 nights drunk and now he's sung Vash over with all hands. Cause he's just a plastic paddy singing plastic paddy songs in a plastic paddy pub that they call the Barley Stone. There's Lingus posters everywhere showing pretty Irish scenes, all peaceful and idyllic and very bloody green. He's done awful things to Molly Malone and the Pharaohs of Tralee. He's murdered Carrick Fergus and poor old Mother McCree. He's just flashed his way through Galway Bay and the wild Irish roads, and if he starts singing Danny Boy, I'm gonna punch him in the nose. Plastic paddy singing plastic paddy songs in a plastic paddy pub that they call the Barley Stone. Now he's just sung in his mother tongue the ancient Irish Erse and cleared the pub completely by the 42nd verse. When Irish eyes are smiling and the mountains of mourn, in a search for Celtic cliché a man has left no stone unturned. Till he embarks upon the harp, the ones from Tara's halls, accompanied self on the bow run, which takes a lot of courage. He's just a plastic paddy singing plastic paddy songs. He started singing Danny Boy, so it's time that I was gone. And just one thought comes to my mind as I stagger through the door. Where are you when we need you, Christy Moore? Where are you when we need you, Christy Moore?
I'll have to try to redeem myself, though it's probably 55 years too late for that. But this is another Irish type song you'll hear, and well, there's the Kellys going, you know. Well, you can't win them all. I wish I could just win one. This is another Irish song, totally different one, and 3 years ago I was in Christchurch in New Zealand, beautiful little city in New Zealand, and one morning I was walking down from a hotel just having a look around the town, and I saw this sign on a wall which really stopped me dead and brought the past back in all its horribleness. And the sign on the wall read, Free Bobby Sands. I don't know if you remember Bobby Sands, but he was an IRA member who starved himself to death in Long Kesh in Belfast prison. He wanted Maggie Thatcher's government to recognise the IRA prisoners as political prisoners, and they wouldn't, of course. They regarded them as terrorists and murderers. So it became a battle of wills, actually, a personal battle between Bobby Sands and Maggie Thatcher. There was no real politics involved, it was just a personal thing. And Bobby Sands died along with 9 of his comrades, who also starved themselves to death. It was a terrible, terrible time. I remember it vividly. And here I was, 10,000 miles away, the other end of the world, and 20 years after the actual event, and there it was on the wall. And the really spooky thing was that the sign had been freshly painted, or at least touched up, you know, by somebody trying to keep the flame alive. So I went down, walked by the ocean a while, trying to figure it all out, and eventually I wrote this song called The Sign. In the summer of last year, in a city far from here, that stands on the shores of the fair Pacific Sea, I walked its pleasant streets, no view in mind, no one to meet, content to wander where my aimless feet led me. A few streets from my hotel, oh, I passed an old stone wall, where 3 words had been scrawled by an unknown hand. When I saw them, I stopped dead in disbelief. I shook my head, for the words on that wall read, Free Bobby Sands. As the sun began to fall and the day began to die, thought I heard the wild geese call from a dark and empty sky. For long minutes I stood there in that busy thoroughfare, while the past rose sharp and clear in my mind's eye. I saw it all again, the passion, hate and pain, the indifference and the shame as a young man died. But it was all so long ago, oh, and who now cares or knows why Bobby Sands chose his lonely death? But to the one who wrote that sign, it seems that Bobby's light still shines. The words rang from another time, but the paint was fresh. As the sun began to fall and the day began to die, thought I heard the wild geese call from a dark and empty sky. So I went down to the sea to let its wild song comfort me, but my thoughts would not let me be, and unchecked they ran through my future, present and past, not for the first time nor the last. I heard them ask, could you be the kind of man who would gladly sacrifice everything, even life, and put no price on a cause or an ideal? No answer echoed in my heart, so I turned and I walked back through the twilight's deepening dark to my hotel. Okay. Now I notice there's a lot of dogs here, at least there was earlier, so this song is for them, and it's all about dead cats, which should please the doggies tremendously. And this is a song called He's Nobody's Moggy Now. A Moggy, of course, is an English word for a pussycat, and this is a sad little tale. Pretty flat one too, but never mind. Music maestro, please.
Pussy, have you seen my pussy? He's been missing since Tuesday. I don't know where he's gone. No. Somebody's Moggy by the side of the road. Somebody's pussy who forgot his highway code. Someone's favorite feline who ran clean out of luck when he ran onto the road and tried to argue with the truck. Yesterday he purred and played his Lucy Paradise, decapitating Tweety birds and masticating mice. Now he's just 6 pounds of ramen speed that don't smell very nice. He's nobody's Moggy now. Oh, you love your pussy. Be sure to keep him in. Don't let him argue with a drug, yeah. A druggy found away. I don't want the busy road. Don't let him play on funny. If he do, I want you. It could be catastrophic. If he tries to play on the wrong way, I'm afraid that will be that. There will be one last despairing and a sort of squelchy splat. And your pussy will be slightly dead and very, very flat. He's nobody's Moggy, just red and squashed and soggy. I said he's nobody's Moggy there.
Another cat bites the dust. Right. Okay, this is a song called The Golden City. And the Golden City in this case is Sydney in Australia. And most of you here won't know, but the red light district in Sydney is called King's Cross. It's where you can have a good time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the boys and I were there about 3 years ago, walking around the streets, doing our research. And it was fun. And I know it's a rule of life. The older you get, the younger the policemen are supposed to look, right? But walking around the streets of the cross, looking at all the street life, the kids, I mean the whores and the junkies and the pimps and the pushers, they were all just children. 14, 15, 16 years old, you know, it really was upsetting. And you wanted to rush up to them and grab them by the shoulders and shake them and say, you only get one chance at this. It doesn't happen again. Don't waste it. It's none of your business, really. Well, children should be all our business, but never mind. So I wrote a song called The Golden City. The Golden City. And it's a tale about a young girl who leaves the farm to go into town to find romance and adventure, and finds exactly the opposite. The bus pulled into the station, and her heart leapt with elation. She had reached a destination where she'd always yearned to be. A young girl from the country who had left her home and family to come to the Golden City by the sea. And all who sought to bind her from the past she'd left behind her, here they would not find her. Here she could be free, and the dreams that had died slowly in that brown and dusty valley would live again in the Golden City by the sea. Sally, come home. Sally, come home. Home to Now she'd always been a dreamer, and her dreams made her a prisoner. She built a wall of them around her, if no one else a key. Always restless and unhappy, and always, always lonely. She dreamed of the golden city by the sea. And now shining all around her, in its promise and its wonder, the dream that had sustained her had become reality. So she gripped her suitcase tightly, with the future beckoning brightly. She went down to the golden city by the sea. It's a tired and often told one. You can write the ending just as well as me. A short and sordid journey, street kid to whore to junkie, living in the golden city by the sea. And while they buy and sell our children, while they poison them and kill them, we turn our faces from them with casual cruelty. A young girl from the country, far from her home and family, lost in the golden city by the sea. Sally, come home. Sally, come home. Home to me. Sally, come home. Home to me. Sally, come home. David and Real, Johnny Jones and the Conga. I've no idea what a great thrill and pleasure it was for us to share the stage with Garnet Rogers. I mean, just one of our favourite all-time. And it's just... I forgive him for being a wonderful songwriter. I forgive him for having a voice like warm treacles soothing down your soul. I forgive him for being hairy. But I can't forgive him for being tall. But apart from that, he's a real nice guy. I first met Garnet and his brother Stanley at the Vancouver Folk Festival quite a while ago, 1982 I think it was. or 1981 or 1946, I can't remember. And part of the reason I can't remember, I was sitting minding my own business in this little place in the university in Vancouver. Knock comes at the door, and I open the door, and here's Stan and Garnet, two big boys, you know. And they were a bit rougher in those days. I mean, Garnet's got really smooth in his old age. And Stan said, "You are Bogle?" I said, "Yes." He said, "We've come to do a song swap." And I said, "What's a song swap?" He said, "Well, we brought some whiskey." I said, "Come in, come in." Ah, those were the days. I love Stan's songwriting. I think he's a wonderful songwriter. And I wrote a tribute to him, which I cleared with Garnet, asked him if it was all right to sing it, but Garnet gets enough Stan stuff in his life. But so this is a song called "Safe in the Harbour." Have you stood by the ocean on a diamond hard morning and felt the horizon stir deep in your soul? Watch the wake of the steamer as it cut through blue water, being gripped by a fever you just can't control. To throw off the shackles and fly with the seagulls to where green waves tumble for a driving sea wind, or to lie on the decking on a warm summer's evening, watch the red sun fall burning beneath the earth's rim. To every sailor comes time to drop anchor, haul in the sails and make the lines fast. You deep water dreamer, your journey is over. You're safe in the harbor at last. You're safe in the harbor at last. Some men are sailors, but most are just dreamers, held fast by the anchors they forge in their mind, who in their hearts know they'll never sail over deep water to search for a treasure they're afraid they won't find. So in sheltered harbors they cling to their anchors, bank down the boilers and shut down the steam, and wait for the sailors to return with the treasures that will fan the dull embers and fire up their dreams. But to every sailor comes time to drop anchor, haul in the sails and make the lines fast. You deep water dreamer, your journey is over. You're safe in the harbor at last. You're safe in the harbor at last. And some men are schemers who laugh at the dreamers, take the gold from the sailors and turn it to dross. They're men without vision, they're men in the prison, whose only horizon is profit and loss. So in I'm sailing across your blue ocean. Hold fast to your dreaming, for all that you're worth. For as long as there are dreamers, there will always be sailors, bringing back their bright treasures from the corners of earth. But to every sailor comes time to drop anchor, hauling the sails and make the lines fast. You deep water dreamer, your journey is over. You're safe in the harbor at last. You're safe in the harbor at last. Thank you. Time to introduce the members of the band to you individually, ladies and gentlemen. On the bass guitar and keyboards, from London, England originally, but long-term resident now of Canberra, Australia, Mr. Ian Blake. On percussion, ladies and gentlemen, from Queensland in Australia, which is Queensland, it's sort of Australia is Alabama, only a bit more to the right. Now, some people think that tasteful percussion is an oxymoron. Here's a man who gives living proof to the fact that that's not true. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Jones.
Stop that.
Skippy. We now come to the group sex symbol, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Eric Bogle, and I'm very pleased to meet you all. No, please, no sympathy. Ladies and gentlemen, mandolin is guitarist and fiddler extraordinaire, and a fifth generation Australian of Irish descent, and can't you tell? Mr. David O'Neill. The boys have written a couple of tunes and they're going to perform them for you. I'll get out of the road.
Now, in an unexpected burst of conceptual continuity, these were two tunes that we both wrote for our sons. The first one's for my son Robin, who's 11, so this one's called Robin's Rant.
And we follow that very closely with a tune that I wrote for my son, Thomas, who's 18. And it's called Tom's Tantrum.
Natural progression.
taught him everything he knows, you know. Took me a while, but knowledge is easy to impart after a while. Actually, this guitar really is just I don't know why I hold it in my hand. It's just something to do with my hands on stage. I don't actually play it. It's a songwriting tool. I should use a pen, it's a lot easier. Okay, it wasn't a great joke. Okay, it was a lousy joke.
At least it was a new joke.
This is a... This is the title track from our latest album, our latest CD, and the title track is called Endangered Species. Now, being a folk type person, of course, I'm very conscious of the fact that the earth is full of endangered species of varying kinds, and this song is about what, in my opinion, is the most endangered species of them all. And as I say, it's the title track from the new CD. We have a few dozen copies left. Life on planet Earth is teetering on the brink. Every day more species become extinct. Every day it seems we losing all the link in the chain. Life's not a trailer, it's a whole main feature. The outlook's weak and it's getting bleaker for all those poor endangered creatures who remain. Forget the platypuses and those crazy aardvarks, pygmy hippopotamuses and great white sharks. I'm telling you the truth, no bull feces. If you want to know the most endangered species, it's not the albatross or the humpback whale. It's a middle-aged introspectual and fashionably heterosexual white Anglo-Saxon male. The middle-aged unreconstructible, non-tax deductible white Anglo-Saxon male. Back in the good old days when it took two to breed, we swam around the gene pool scattering our seed. Now IVF and sperm banks have removed the need to survive. We used to be hunters and providers, knocking off mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. They watch us at Foodland and you walk beside her with the trolley. Forget the gorilla and the chimpanzee, the scaly armadillos, seagrass and munching manatees. I'm telling you the truth, you know that it's real. The next one to fall from evolution's wheel is not the green tree frog or the giant land snail. It's a middle-aged, unathletic, flabby and pathetic white Anglo-Saxon male. The middle-aged, inexplicable, daggy and despicable white Anglo-Saxon male. Well, you ain't worth saving, got no style, no cachet, but a bad taste comes back in a fashion one day. They got your germplasm locked away in some laboratory. Goodbye, you dinosaur of brachial calls. Not long now till the curtain falls. You lost the race when you lost your balls. End of story. Forget the iguana and the orangutan, the cuddly koala and the mighty elephant. I'm telling you the truth, you know it's no lie. Put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. You got the future of a fart in a forced end game.
Middle Age introspectual, twice a month the ritual, white Anglo-Saxon bill. Your Middle Age unsuitable, unstable, unrootable, white Anglo-Saxon bill.
Forget about the cheetah and the giraffes, those laughing hyenas, causing not a lot of laughs. Don't worry about the wildebeest or the kangaroos. Remember that to some at least, no good news can be good news. In the battle for survival, someone has to fail. The Middle Age unreliable, totally not viable, white Anglo-Saxon male. The Middle Age undesirable, used by date expirable, white Anglo-Saxon, yeah. That was a song I wrote for myself. And please let me assure you, if you're looking for a hidden agenda behind that song, there is none. Right? Just a wee bit of laugh. Remember laughter? I sort of lost it at Vancouver Folk Festival once. I've got it back. Right. This is thank you lads, a song I wrote for my father. And I went to a show in 1969. Me and my father never got on too well, and that's an understatement. We were far too similar, that was the problem. And so off I went to a show in 1969. 1975, I went back to Scotland with my wife, Carmel. I married a sewing girl, to meet my mother and father. I wanted her to meet my mum and dad. And a month after I got home, my father died, and my mother died about 3 months after that. But in the intervening period, in the 3 weeks or so before he died, there was definite signs that he and I were beginning to build bridges of communication, you know, because in the intervening 6 years, one of us had matured. I think it was me. And but fate, of course, decreed otherwise, and that was it. As his son, it was my duty to carry out one of his requests, which was to have his ashes scattered over the River Tweed, which is our local river in Peebles, Scotland, where I used to live. And so I did so, and it was a beautiful, beautiful summer's day in my father's favourite part of the river. And I always thought it was a sort of rough justice to it, because when I was scattering my father's ashes, because he was one of the local poachers, and he'd lifted many fish out of that river, I'll tell you. So there I was going back to feed the fish and complete the circle of life and all that hippie bullshit. But I had a real sort of mixture of emotions as I was doing this, as you can appreciate. Grief and guilt, of course. Guilt is always there when somebody you love dies and you think all the things you should have done and should have said, never got around to doing so. I also felt a lot of anger. A lot of anger. Now, I wasn't quite sure what I was angry at, you know. Myself, him, fate, God, Buddha. I just didn't know. And I still am unsure. So when I get confused, I write songs, because it helps lay them out for me and make me understand what I'm thinking a bit better. So this is a song called Journeys, because when I scattered his ashes in the river, he floated away on the next stage of his journey, wherever that was taking him. And I turned round and walked away and continued on mine. So the song's called Journeys. How clear the river runs beneath the noonday sun, through the trees it twists and turns in light and shade. In the summer's warm embrace, nature flaunts her bonny face, a more green and peaceful place God never made. On the river bank I stand, My father's ashes in my hand, I'm there at his command. One promise left to keep, though in my mind the past appears a sad parade of wasted years. Grief and guilt both fuel the tear, at last I weep. And there's anger in my heart, it's bitter, deep and dark, but for whom or for what, it's hard to tell. Is it for blind, uncaring fate that build bridges far too late for his life, for his escape, or for myself? For who the hell am I, his life to discount or deny, to say what made him laugh or cry, or brought him pain or joy? Early strangers we became, and strangers we remain. The man who made his pride his chain, I'm a sullen boy. But the song's been too often sung. What's done is long done. There's little comfort to be wrung from a past blood dry. He was what he was made, the cards he was dealt, he played with much choice in the charade as you or I. Without joy there is no grief, without hope there's no belief, without love death's just a thief who steals nothing more than time. So with love I scatter him to the water and the wind. Two new journeys now begin, his and mine. Okay, well, a couple more songs for you. It's been a most enjoyable night, most enjoyable. This next song is to even it up for the dead Moggies. And this is about dead doggies. Hey! Hey! And this is about a chihuahua. For the purposes of this song, I pretended a chihuahua was a dog. They're very spunky wee dogs, actually. Pound for pound, or ounce for ounce. And this chihuahua called Gomez falls in love with this St. Bernard called Bloodwind. So you can see he had a lot in front of him. That wasn't very good either, but it was the run. This is called He's Nobody's Doggy Now. Well, I used to have a doggy and his name was Little Gomez, cause you see he was a Mexican chihuahua. There wasn't much of him, but what there was all cojones. He really was a randy little fella.
Big dogs, small dogs, it mattered not to him. The canine equivalent of Errol Flynn. At the drop of a sombrero, he'd jump up and get stuck in. Taking Gomez out for walkies was embarrassing. Taking Gomez out for walkies was embarrassing. I remember one day in the park his tally rose by 4. An enviable score he was amassing to please impatient poodles and an outraged Labrador and a wombat who just happened to be passing. I tried every way to curb his camel appetite. I kept him on a lead all day and locked him up at night. I even put some bromide in his chunky meaty bites, but the only thing that might have worked was kryptonite. Yes, the only thing that might have worked was kryptonite. Then came the fatal day when he tried to consummate a liaison with a Saint Bernard called Blodwyn. Even though he was quite clearly fighting well above his weight, he didn't let that minor detail stop him. He nearly pulled it off, oh what an acrobat. But Bogle got bored and down she sat. They say that after making love you often feel quite flat. I'm sure that little Gomez would agree with that. Yes, I'm sure little Gomez would agree with that. So I buried Gomez in the park, his happy hunting ground. A sad but fitting finale. I had to dig a grave that was rather flat and round, 'cause he looked like a squashed tamale. But I really missed my wee chihuahua chum, so I went into the pet shop to buy another one. I went in feeling happy, but I came out feeling glum, 'cause the man down at the pet shop loved corny puns. Yes, the man down at the pet shop loved corny puns. And he said, yes, we have no chihuahuas. We have no chihuahuas today. We've Alsatians, Dalmatians, the fruits of importation. Twin half-pint Pekingese and a toupee, da-da-da-da-da-da. But yes, we have no chihuahuas. We have no chihuahuas today.
Thank you very much. I'll finish off with this song. I wrote this song in 1975 after a short and sobering trip to some military cemeteries in Flanders and also in northern France. And just to walk here, they were all cemeteries from World War I, you know. And after walking around those cemeteries, it was a very, very sobering experience, as you can understand, especially seeing the ages of the wee boys who were buried there. Because basically that's all they were just wee boys. And there was thousands of them. I wrote a song way back then called No Man's Land, which I tried to express how I felt walking around these graveyards. A few years later, a couple of Irish mates of mine, the Fury Brothers, Eddie and Finbar, recorded the song. They changed the title to The Green Fields of France, and it's probably better known under that title now. I don't care what the title is, so long as the song's sung, the title is totally immaterial. And Eddie and Finbar had a huge hit with it in Ireland. You know, it was in the hit parade for weeks and weeks and weeks. Anyway, 3 years ago, I was in Britain just starting a tour, and I arrived just after Tony Blair and the new sensitive, caring socialist government had been elected into power after 17 years out in the cold. And just after I arrived, this little schoolgirl from Belfast, a wee girl called Margaret Gibney, wrote to Tony Blair. And she said, "Dear Mr. Blair, my name is Margaret Gibney. I live in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I'm 10 years old, and I've never known what peace is. While you're the Prime Minister of Great Britain, could you please try to ensure that you keep the peace process going and try and bring peace to my country, which I love very much. Yours sincerely, Margaret Gibney." As you'll agree, it was a really nice wee letter. So the national press picked this letter up, you know, and ran it as a human interest story for a while. So Tony Blair eventually invited Margaret down to number 10 Downing Street to meet him. And while she was there, he presented her with a sort of embossed, bound, handwritten copy of what he termed his favourite anti-war poem. And it was mine, The Green Fields of France, as he called it. The Times newspaper, the London Times, reported this, and they had a photograph of Margaret and Tony at number 10, arms around each other, smiling, you know. And part of the accompanying text read, Mr. Blair's favourite anti-war poem, The Green Fields of France, was written by a Scotsman, Eric Bogle, who died in the First World War. I wonder what had happened in my career. There I had it. It's come in quite handy. A couple of weeks after that article, you know, my wife was sort of castigating me after a couple of white wines about my lack of physical activity, you know what I mean. And I said, you can't blame me, darling, I'm dead, you know. Aye, from the waist down, she said. She's a hard woman. That's not my problem. True story, that's a true story I've got in my scrapbook, my official death notice. This is a true story as well. And thanks again. Before we do the last song, I've omitted, could you please show your appreciation for, in my opinion, 3 very fine musicians, Mr. Ian Blake, Mr. David O'Neill, and Mr. Johnny Johns. I only wish I could afford to pay them more money. But I can. Okay, lads. Well, how'd you do, Private Willie McBride? Do you mind if I sit here down by your graveside? And I'll rest for a while in the warm summer sun. Been walking all day long and I'm nearly done. And I see by your gravestone you were only 19 when you joined the glorious fallen in 1916. I hope you died quick, and I hope you died clean. Or Willie McBride, was it slow and obscene? Did they beat the drum slowly? Did they sound the fife lowly? Did the rifles fire o'er ye as they lowered you down? Did the bugles sing the last post in chorus? Did the pipes play the flutes with the forest? And did you leave a wife or a sweetheart behind? In some faithful heart is your memory enshrined. And though you died back in 1916, to that loyal heart are you forever 19? Or are you a stranger without even a name, forever enshrined behind some glass pane? An old photograph torn and shattered and stained and fading to yellow in a brown leather frame. Did they beat the drum slowly? Did they sound the fife lowly? Did the rifles fire o'er ye as they lowered you down? Did the bugles sing the last post in chorus? Did the pipes play the flutes or the forest? dance. The trenches have vanished long under the plough. No gas and no barbed wire, no guns firing now. But here in this graveyard, it's still no man's land. The countless white crosses in mute witness stand to man's blind indifference to his fellow man. And old generation who were butchered and damned, did they beat the drums slowly? Did they sound the fife lonely? Did the rifles fire o'er ye as they lowered you down? Did the bugles sing the last post in chorus? Did the pipes play the flutes for us? And I can't help but wonder, Willie McBride, do all those who lie here know why they died? Did you really believe them when they told you the cause? You really believe that this war would end wars? Well, the suffering, the sorrow, the glory, the shame, the killing, the dying, it was all done in vain. For Willie McBride, it all happened again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Did they beat the drums slowly? Did they sound the fife lonely? Did the rifles fire o'er ye as they lowered you down? Did the bugles sing the last post in chorus? Did the pipes play the flutes for us? Did the bugles sing the last post in chorus? Did the pipes play the flutes for us? Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure. I hope to be here again one day. God bless and thank you. Stay tuned and let me go. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. That's most kind of you. Most kind. Garnet, do you want to join us for a simple 12 bar here? Oh no, after that one, my God. I mean, once I had a critic write in a newspaper about World War I songs. Said Eric's songs about the World War last nearly as long as the war did. Most unkind. But then again, my father-in-law never liked me very much. I hope you've been able to understand most of what I've said to you tonight. I know I've got a fairly broad Australian accent. But it's really handy in this country. I mean, tonight I was driving in, we're driving in from the hotel, and there was a couple of young fellas trying to stop us. We want to drive around here, and they tried to get a car down. And I wound at the window and said, "Sorry, Jimmy, I've just got the thing down here, and I'll bail it. Oh, you can, eh?" And the young fella just went, "Carry on." Now, for most of my life, I've had a burning ambition, musically speaking. Of course, I've got lots of other ones. I always wanted to be tall, but God's compensated me for that. He's made me wider than I used to be. I think he looked down from it and he said, "I made you extremely talented and blindingly handsome, and you want tall as well." Thank you, Must be from the optician school out there tonight. I always wanted to be a blues singer. I always fancied myself as a blues singer, but as you can see, I wasn't given the necessary equipment. A small red-faced balding fellow from the borders of Scotland has no roll cool when it comes to playing the blues. But it never stopped me. So this is a wee bit of fun to round out the night. I must get these dentures fixed tomorrow. And this song is a fantasy, and it's called Short White Blues. Thank you to Garnet for being so kind to come up. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Safe journey home. God bless.